the first step toward legalizing medical marijuana in Wisconsin and decriminalizing possession of the drug will be included in Governor Evers' first state budget proposal. That's tomorrow.
But his plan will have trouble getting through the Republican-controlled legislature. In a new segment we call 360, Katie Crowther breaks down the different perspectives.
In Wisconsin, there were referendums in 2 cities and 16 counties last November asking voters to weigh in on medical marijuana. Election results revealed overwhelming support for legalization. Marijuana as medicine. Many Republican lawmakers say no way.
The drive to legalize marijuana for medical use is strictly driven by politics and not science and research.
But others across the aisle believe those naysayers are putting democracy up in smoke.
How long are legislative leaders in Madison going to ignore the will of the people?
Public perception also varies. Medical marijuana legalization is by far the biggest talker on our Facebook page right now. To hear all sides, let's go in 360. We'll talk to lawmakers, a doctor, lawyer, and veteran, plus 2 parents who've been impacted by marijuana when it comes to their children.
Cannabis helped my son. Simple as that.
Matt Wetzel's son Jameson started having seizures as a baby. Traditional treatments didn't work, but he saw a report on medical marijuana and drove his family out to Colorado to try it.
It was actually one of the best days of our lives.
Matt says Jameson showed huge improvements after only a few doses.
Within a couple days, he had his last seizure. He's now 7 years old.
But Michelle Jaskolski says marijuana put her sons Kyle and Daryl on a very dangerous path, the start of illicit drug use.
It lowered their inhibitions and it made illegal drug use not so bad.
It escalated to heroin. Both boys nearly lost their lives to addiction and still work every day to stay clean.
We're in the middle of potentially the worst epidemic we've seen of drugs. I don't really think that we need to be adding something else to the mix.
Is marijuana a gateway drug? Veteran Steve Atchison says no. It's more like a way out of the opioid epidemic.
We need an alternative, and we need an off-ramp.
After 2 tours of duty in Iraq, Atchison returned home injured.
Really, the only option that was provided to me was pills, and I was a zombie.
He has since found that medical marijuana is a better alternative for him and has become a national advocate for legalization.
Every day I step out of my door, I have to worry about being convicted of a crime.
Opioid-related deaths dropped by about 33% in 13 states within 6 years of medical marijuana legalization, according to American Addiction Centers. But most medical professionals and organizations say that doesn't prove cause and effect.
We don't have well-controlled scientific studies that have replicated the use of marijuana as a treatment for really anything.
Dr. George Morris, the president-elect of the Medical Society of Wisconsin, says studies are limited because since 1970, marijuana has been classified as a highly restricted controlled substance with no accepted medical use. Nearly 50 years later, 33 states and the District of Columbia have challenged that, making marijuana legal for medical purposes only. And 10 states, plus the District of Columbia, have legalized recreational marijuana use. But the federal classification remains.
Pharmaceutical companies are a little bit leery about setting into doing research on a product they may not be able to actually distribute.
While some byproducts of marijuana, like Epidiolex, are FDA approved, most evidence surrounding the plant itself is only anecdotal. Everyone could experience different results or side effects.
So from a medical standpoint, medical and marijuana are not 2 phrases that should be used together right now.
The word medical and marijuana don't belong together at this point.
Lawmakers against legalization agree there is too much unknown.
Psychiatrists have come out and said that the effects of long-term use on an adolescent and teenager of marijuana is as harmful as lead.
But Governor Tony Evers argues that enough positive research is out there.
There's plenty of studies that indicate that marijuana can be used in many, many circumstances that help people.
Evers wants to decriminalize possession of small amounts of marijuana, and anyone who completed jail time or probation for possessing, manufacturing, or distributing less than 25 grams of the drug would have that removed from their record.
We're spending too much money prosecuting and incarcerating people.
For too long, Wisconsin's criminal justice system has been anything but just.
State Representative David Crowley says in Milwaukee County, 40% of all black men arrested are arrested for low-level drug offenses. Attorney Craig Johnson says that has to change.
The use of marijuana is pretty consistent across different ethnic groups. But when it comes to enforcing those laws, you see a disparate impact on communities of color.
Being caught with $10 worth of pot, for example, is a criminal conviction on your record, affecting future opportunities. But a local judge tells me that reducing the penalty for any amount of marijuana is a bad idea. Shannon and Charles.
Thanks, Katie. We want your opinion on this. So do you think Governor Evers' proposal will pass? So far, 74% say yes, while the rest say no. Head to our Facebook page, facebook.com/TMJ4 to vote.
We will continue the dialogue on that issue.
Yes.